I noticed this yesterday morning, right about this time. There was a tweet from the Barstool account that had a clip of Charissa Thompson, host with Fox and Amazon, on the Pardon My Take podcast with Dan Katz, a.k.a. Big Cat, and Eric Sullenberger, a.k.a. PFT Commenter. And the clip consisted of her explaining that when she was a sideline reporter, at times she would make up the content when she wasn't able to get access to the coach at halftime. She would just say something that was very basic and simple and that wouldn't make the coach mad. It wasn't anything inconsistent with what the coach would have said if the coach would have said anything. The problem is saying that makes a lot of other people mad. And Peter, I monitored it throughout the day, and there was a torrent by dinner time of criticism from other sideline reporters who look at this and say, basically, and I talked to Laura Oakman for a while last night because she works for Fox, and she went on the record on Twitter and called this out. It's hard enough as it is. They always have to worry about somebody trying to denigrate what they do. And this one came from inside their own ranks, and that's what made it even more disappointing for Laura Oakman. And I think she said it as well as anyone could. It's disappointing when you're constantly fighting to prove to people that what you do has value, and one of the people who did that job says, I just made stuff up. That makes it even harder for the people who do that job to prove on a day in and day out basis that they're adding something, and they do, and they're in position to do so during these games.
Mike, whether a sideline reporter is someone who you would describe as a, quote, journalist, end quote. Whether a sideline reporter is that, or whether a sideline reporter is there just to pass along information or whatever it is, journalism right now in our country is under attack. The reason it's under attack is because many people don't trust journalists. They don't trust the people who talk on television, who write on websites, who write in print. Okay, so when something like this happens, I can tell you that a large percentage of the naysayers who think that journalists are liars, okay, and who only write and serve their own personal masters, they're going to say, see, I told you. They just make this crap up, and they just write whatever or say whatever they want. That's why this is damaging. I feel for sideline reporters who are honorable and who work hard at their job. Last night at the game, 2 hours and 15 minutes before the game, I got to the press box, and there's Kaylee, who am I thinking of, Mike? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
Hartung.
But Kaylee Hartung, sorry. Kaylee Hartung is out on the field talking to a coach on the Bengals who's out there, and then talking to somebody else. So, I mean, these are people, many of whom work very hard at their job. But let's take that away for just a moment and just say that this is about our country right now. In my opinion, the more damaging thing is not to sideline reporters as a group. The more damaging thing is to journalism in our country, and people who now can say, see, I told you. They just make it up.
You know, that's an excellent point, and I hadn't thought of that until you said that earlier when we were discussing this during a break. Because how are we to convince people that we're on the up and up when people who had those jobs in the past are willing to say, yeah, I just made it up? And the reaction that some have to this is, to the sideline reporters who are angry, oh, you're just mad because she blew your cover, because you all do it. To your point exactly. It feeds the perception that people are just making things up. It's like what we were talking about earlier with officiating and the fix being in. People believe it. Regardless of whether or not it's true, they believe it. And if they believe this, here is a chunk of red meat proving their conspiracy theory to be true. That's why it is so problematic, as you say, because as it relates to gambling and the fix being in and people thinking that in football games, there isn't that same chunk of red meat that they can sink their teeth into as proof, at least not yet. With the idea that journalists are making stuff up, And I wouldn't be surprised if people use this beyond the boundaries of sports media, just as evidence of it's all fake, it's all made up, don't pay attention to any of it.
It's going to fit everybody's interpretation of what they think of the news media. And that's the most damaging thing. Now let's just focus on one thing about the role of a sideline reporter. Mike, you and I have been in this business for a long time. Much of what a sideline reporter does, a good sideline reporter, is they are on they have an earpiece in, and they have the ability to communicate with the truck, with the producer, with the director, who can get messages to the booth upstairs, even if they're not going to be on the air. Hey, listen, Burrow is down here limping. He's grabbing his hand. There's something in it. Get your camera on Joe Burrow. Get it on him right now. I mean, those are the kind of things that sideline reporters do that everybody said, oh, it's inane. There's stuff. We don't really care about it. The good ones find a purpose. And that is what hurts about this also.
I'll leave you with the tweet from Catherine Tappan of NBC, who's done college and NFL work with us. As to the Charissa Thompson admission, deplorable. I hold myself to the highest standard in everything I do. I know my hardworking colleagues do the same. We earn respect the hard way. To those commenting on the irrelevant role of sideline reporters, beat it. We are journalists. These actions are not normal. Thanks for some of your time. Enjoy the games. See you Monday. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.